So what I have here is I have this Mr. Surfacer 1000, and what I'm going to use this as a primer. Now, whenever I pull paints out that have been sitting around for a while, I have to use a metal stirring rod to stir it up. This makes sure that the bottom paint particles that have settled on the bottom get mixed up properly. Now, sitting there, you could take a bottle and shake it all you want, but it's still not going to get whatever's on the bottom mixed up. If you're using acrylic paints, the bottle actually says do not shake on it. Somewhere on here it says do not shake. So what you want to do is you want to just stir the paint to mix it up. Since I have this pre-thinned, I'm just going to pour it directly into my airbrush and go ahead and start priming. Now, priming has several uses. First of all, you can check if priming has fixed some of the seam lines you did. Second of all, if you have a dark piece and you want to paint it like a lighter color, priming helps, solve that issue. Priming also shows you any defects or any missed areas where you missed sanding, or if you didn't do a good enough job of sanding. Now, what I'm going to do is to paint. I'm just going to do a light misting of the paint, just to get a nice tacky layer on there. You can see that it's slightly gray. I'm just lightly misting on. Notice the distance I'm spraying my airbrush at. Just getting a nice light coating, and then I could go in there and paint heavier. Now, if I were to do this first, I would end up with a lot of pooling with the paint. So right now I could get a nice even coat, and the paint, and this part is primed. I'm just gonna let it sit, and I'm gonna continue priming another piece. Now, for this example, I'm gonna go directly over it without doing that misting. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna get pooling like that. And what happens if you keep trying to spray over this, it'll continue to pool. You do not want to do this. Once this happens, take the part and set it aside. Let this dry, because any more paint will just cause more problems. What you want to do is let this dry, and possibly take a sanding pad once this is dry, and just sand this smooth. So usually you're painting. I'm painting a whole set of pieces. So I'll just set this aside and move on to my next piece. And once I get done with all my pieces that I'm priming, that part is usually dry. So I'm going to do a nice light misting like earlier, and then go in there with a heavier coat to paint the part. Notice that I'm constantly moving the part and not staying in any one particular spot constantly. You don't want to do that because you'll pull paint just like that last part. So I'm just going to quickly move around and make sure I get primer all around this part, and just let it sit and dry. I'm going to prime the next part. Again, a nice light misting, get that tacky layer on there, and then go in heavier. And that's done.